All right, guys, now we're back here on our second map, Steps of War, here in Week 4 of the MLG Showcase Series. Both players are saying they're ready to go, so we're going to go ahead and start the match. And IdrA is still going to be playing Zerg, so we're going to have another ZVZ matchup. Now, Sean, this map is the two bases are very, very close together. It doesn't take long to get across the map. Do you think we're going to see a little bit of an earlier game win here from either player?
I mean, maybe. The thing I would say is that rather than an early game win, because really the hallmark of a strong player is a player who knows how to make the game go on longer, where he can use his late game management skills to come to full power. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot less powering go on. In that first game, both players just got so many drones early. I mean, Machine for the longest time had like an expansion and 30 drones and an Evo chamber and was getting a layer and had no roaches at all because they were cross-map. They have those tiny chokes around their natural expansion, so it's super easy to defend. On this map, not so much. There's probably going to be a lot of pressure early on. Sometimes the player who just gets a handful of extra Zerglings early on is the player who gets far, far ahead in the lead. And one thing to mention that IdrA just said right before the game is that he also has an account on the Starcraft 2 Asia server where he only plays Zerg. He actually only plays Protoss on the American server. So he actually has had quite a bit of experience in this matchup, apparently.
Right now, we do see both players obviously getting those Overlords out, and pretty much standard stuff right now. One of the things that I was kind of interested in was the fact that IdrA does play, obviously, in those Korean pro gaming houses, and he did get the go-ahead from his team, CJ Antis, to be able to transfer over to StarCraft 2 and not play any StarCraft 1. Do you think that he possibly set up any matches there inside the house against some of these other pro gamers?
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of StarCraft 1 pros who are playing quite a bit of StarCraft 2. I know, for instance, Dan Artosis Stemkoski, who lives in South Korea, another American player, has been playing relentlessly with IdrA. Both he and IdrA are just playing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games. I think both of them have logged over 1,000 games of StarCraft 2 already, even though it's only been out for, I think, exactly a month now. So he definitely is surrounding himself with other players who are doing nothing but playing and thinking about StarCraft 2.
Now, we do see IdrA obviously taking that drone there to his natural expansion, pretty much doing the same thing, still waiting on that gas. He did get a late gas last game. We see Machine opting for the early gas. He might not be taking the natural expansion here. We're waiting to see what he's going to do. He is, however, saving up minerals and not using those larvae, so he might see a fast expansion here shortly coming from Machine. Again, on this map, one thing that you also said last match that kind of pulled IdrA ahead in the macro department was the fact that he was using 2 queens. Do you think that was vital to his win last match?
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those subtle things that you don't quite notice until you're looking for it. But suddenly, when I just clicked on IdrA, he was ahead by like 20 roaches. And it's just like, wow, how'd that happen? And I poked around, and Machine had been using all his energy with his queen. But when you go to IdrA's base, he had 2 queens. It's just like, oh, yes. I mean, just getting the timing on that second queen down right gives you so many extra roaches. And if you actually compare what these two players are doing right now, Machine looks like he's just doing a straight-up roach rush on this map, getting that queen out very quickly, getting that roach warren up very quickly. And IdrA, not far behind at all, slightly behind, just getting that vomit on the queen up a little bit late and getting that roach warren a little bit later, but of course he has that extra expansion to boot. And considering that IdrA is going to be the defender in this setup, I mean, I think IdrA is going to be way ahead with this rush that we see Machine trying to pull off.
Now, we do see 2 Zerglings get into IdrA's base of Machine. He's going to be able to get all that valuable information there, possibly seeing the fact that he did go with that early expansion. He might be sending these roaches over once he gets about 5 or 6 and kind of attack IdrA, although I think if he waits too long, IdrA is going to be able to power and get too many roaches of his own to kind of deflect that attack. We still see no expansion, however, right now from Machine. So do you think in about 3 or 4 minutes, do you think this is going to just put IdrA far, far ahead in the economy build?
Yeah, I mean, IdrA might already be way far ahead. I mean, if we just look at the drone counts, they're pretty similar. It's 19 drones for IdrA versus 16 drones for Machine. Machine does have a few extra roaches out, but considering that IdrA is the defender in this situation, I think he's going to be okay. The issue that IdrA is facing right now is that he's a little bit low on money. I mean, if you just go to his natural expansion, we see 4 larvae of IdrA just hanging out. So this is the timing that Machine was going for right now. Look at him sweeping forward with these roaches, going to have to advance far forward. He needs to make sure that he target fires appropriately. IdrA does a great target fire, but Machine pulls back that key roach right at the last second. So already Machine's doing some beautiful micro right there. IdrA has a lot of roaches falling, but his extra roaches are popping out in time. Now, we do see that IdrA is also getting that vomit for the queen without actually any delay. He had 1 energy when it went down, so very nice play by IdrA. Machine still trying to push forward here. There's a few injured roaches in the back that Machine is not target firing. So many really low health roaches for IdrA. Machine just needs to target fire these. Looks like IdrA's doing a great job of target firing, and that queen is doing the extra little bit of damage that it needs to, and Machine's attack is just going to get repelled without being able to really do much of anything.
Now, looking at this attack, obviously the first attack, we see IdrA's probably going to pull ahead here in the economy build, or economy game rather, as we see Machine still with no natural expansion. However, he's still playing really aggressive with those roaches, and now he's finally going to pull him back because he sees that he's finally lost that battle. The roaches are a little upset right now as they retreat back at about half HP, and we see him continue. Now we see a drone going towards his natural expansion. He realizes that that timing is not going to work. He needs to get the economy built back up before IdrA is able to amass a force strong enough to just push him over. Oh, now we just see a good game coming from Machine. Obviously, he knew that he was behind in the economy build or the economy game there, and I mean, IdrA kind of playing a little bit of a safer build, I would say, and that timing obviously from Machine did not work. So, looking at that game, what do you think won that for IdrA there?
Well, I think a lot of it is that when you look at a map, you look at the general theme of it, and you really strongly skew your play in that direction. So, for instance, on a close map, you would say, oh, it's dangerous to early expand, so I'm going to do a really aggressive build, which is exactly what Machine did. But if you can have the opportunity to play hundreds and hundreds of games, you can figure out what exactly you can get away with. So when I initially saw IdrA early expanding, my immediate thought was, wow, you can actually get away with that, and it looked like IdrA barely was able to do it, but that's all it really takes in a strategy game, as long as you can barely defend in that sort of situation. And Machine clearly knew he needed to win right when he saw that expansion go up. He needed to win in a very early aggressive game, and IdrA's defense was just too good, and his timing with everything was just spot on, allowing him to defend just barely there.
All right, guys, so now IdrA is up 2-0 over Machine, and we have our next map, Desert Oasis, coming up really shortly.